we be off our phones? What is Jim Crow? Yes. That might be true. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what is Jim Crow?
The crow from Dumbo.
So we don't know. We don't know what Jim Crow is.
Jim
Oh.
Crow is like laws. Yes, Jim Crow laws against
Yeah.
black people.
Okay. These were laws that created legal segregation. So I told you, we started this conversation yesterday, that after the Civil War, the losing South went underground and created the KKK. That was one strategy. What we're looking at in this unit is extremism, right? Right-wing extremism. And the way we're doing this is we're just sort of looking at, well, where did it start? And am I interrupting? No. The start is in large part the KKK. When the South lost, former Confederates went underground and formed the KKK. But Jim Crow was what the people that didn't go underground, the politicians who regained power in southern states, what did they do? And in many cases, what's really interesting is that at night, they wore their KKK uniform. During the day, they took it off and put on their mayor badge. Right? Same people. The same people that passed these laws were the ones that went out and did the KKK lynchings and cross-burnings and all that crap. I just found 3 examples of Jim Crow laws. Again, the definition is laws that legalized segregation. Okay? And these were laws passed in the 1930s, 1903, 1926. So legal segregation started after the Civil War. About 1877-ish is when it started. It goes all the way to 1954-ish with Brown versus Board of Education. Anyone ever heard of Brown versus Board of Education? It's a Supreme Court decision that said you cannot segregate based on race in schools. Okay, so these are kind of 3 silly laws. It was illegal for a black and a white person to play together, cards, dice, in Alabama. It was illegal for a black prisoner to be handcuffed to a white prisoner. Illegal. That was in Arkansas. It was illegal for a black barber to cut a white person's hair in Georgia. So nice. Right. So again, definition here, it's legal segregation. And what happened was that these were state laws, right? This was in Alabama, this was in Arkansas, this was in Georgia. Within those states, these were legal, and amendments are true everywhere in the country, right? So the 13th Amendment ended slavery. Well, that was true. These people aren't slaves. They just can't cut a white person's hair. It doesn't make you a slave. So it did not violate the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, if you want to know, said that all of you need to be treated equally. Okay? Now think about segregation. Let's say there's a drinking fountain here and a drinking fountain right here. That one says whites only. Okay? If you're a black person, are you being discriminated against? Are you? There's another drinking fountain right here. You can't drink that water, but you can drink this water. Are you being discriminated against?
I say yes.
Well, okay, you're sticking with the yes. Let's say I really have to go to the bathroom. So I go out, I take a right, I take a left, I take another left, and I run into the first bathroom. And I'm not even allowed in there. That's the girls' bathroom. Ah, you mean I have to walk all the way over there? Other people would say, you're not being discriminated against. You have a bathroom. It's right there. Same thing, right? There's a black drinking fountain and a white drinking fountain. What's the problem? They're separate. So what? It's the same water. Yes?
Doesn't it have to do with the quality?
No, same water. In fact, it comes out of the same pipe. It's just that one pipe goes this way and the other pipe goes this way. What's the difference? I've created a group of segregationists in here. All right. You're thinking like, yeah, what is the difference? I'll address the difference later. Okay. 14th Amendment says you have to be treated fairly. But in the eyes of people legalizing this stuff, you are being treated fairly. We're not saying you can't be a barber. You just can't cut white person's hair. Go cut black person's hair. Go ahead. We're not stopping you from doing that. Okay, it's legal segregation. 15th Amendment said you cannot deny the right to vote based on race. You cannot deny the right to vote based on race. Can you deny the right to vote based on anything in our country?
Yeah.
Sure you can. Age? Are you a felon? Right? Are you an American citizen? There's 3. You cannot deny the right to vote based on race. Well, can I do this? Anyone know the answer? Can I do this? Can I say, sure, you can vote? $50. $50, vote. Why not? You're not denying the right to vote based on race. Go ahead.
Would it be denying people the right to vote based on wealth?
And where's that amendment?
Well, that's
Where's the amendment that says you cannot deny the right to vote based on wealth?
Well, it's still denying the vote to right. I mean, the right to vote.
Yeah, sure it is. And we denied those people who are 12 the right to vote too.
Got me there.
Could I do that? Could the state of Wisconsin say $50 to vote? You're not understanding? Charging you to vote.
Charging like who though?
You, the would-be voter.
For everybody?
You're not talking like anyone?
Sure, anyone. Anyone who wants to vote. Black, white, doesn't matter. So I'm not discriminated based on race. You want to vote? $50.
You're talking everyone or just one single person?
Each person that wants to vote is charged a dollar amount. Is that being discriminatory? I'm applying it to everybody. I am not discriminating. Everyone.
Well,
Can Wisconsin do that? You're saying yeah. Okay.
it wouldn't be discriminating because I guess everyone has to do it. So
Wouldn't be discriminating because everyone has to do it. Is that right?
I mean, I'm gonna say yes, but you'll probably change my mind in the next 5 minutes.
Okay. I will answer that question. Stay tuned. Can you, in essence, tax somebody to vote? Okay. And does that discriminate? And the answer is yes, it does discriminate. It discriminates against people who can't afford the $50, right? Poorer people. It discriminates against poorer people. But I'm telling you, where's the amendment that prevents that? We have a 15th Amendment that says you cannot deny the right to vote based on race. But which amendment says you cannot deny the right to vote because people can't afford it?
But there's nothing against it because that was never a thing.
You're wrong. Southern states did charge people to vote. It was called a poll tax. You want to vote? Hey. And people who couldn't afford it couldn't vote. But well, let's think about that. Let's just think this through a little bit. You're a southern state. You're charging people to vote. Let's say slavery just ended.
They wouldn't have.
Do you get, what black person has money? Oh yeah, I'll just, $50, no problem. Oh no, a rock. You understand? No black person in the South had any money because they were not paid for their efforts. This was a brilliant, in a sad way for Southern states to deny the right to vote to black people without saying you can't vote because you're black. We're just going to deny the right to vote because you can't afford it. See, that's why we're denying it. It has nothing to do with your blackness. It has to do with your not having any money. But in the South, that circle, I'm going to create a circle. This is a Venn diagram. I am now creating a circle of black people in the South. And now I'm going to create another circle of black people without any money in the South. You understand? I drew 2 circles. There they are. Kind of brilliant. In a sad way. It was very effective. It denied the right to vote to blacks. Okay. So again, what we're looking at is efforts to extend right-wing extremism, white power in the South. This is Mississippi's flag before 1894. Lovely little cotton tree. 1894, they changed it. They put the Confederate flag right on it. Okay. This has caused a great deal of anger in southern states. It's not really an issue here in Wisconsin. I mean, if I showed you Wisconsin's flag, would you even be able to tell it's Wisconsin's flag? How many of you know what Wisconsin's flag looks like? Wisconsin's flag might be the second ugliest flag, right behind Minnesota's, which is equally stupid.
I've never seen
Oh
Minnesota's.
my God. Well, it's Wisconsin's. They're the same
Oh.
flag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, instead of the word Minnesota, it says Wisconsin. They both have a farmer. And the guy chopping down a tree. So stupid. Anyway, this caused a lot of anger. Okay. All right, 2 slides left. This is the Supreme Court decision which legalized these things. Right? You see these laws, these Jim Crow laws? This was somebody said you can't do these things. It's unconstitutional. Violates the Constitution. Here's the Supreme Court saying, no, it doesn't. As long as the separate entities are equal. Black drinking fountain, white drinking fountain. They both spurt out water. What's the problem? Black school, white school. They both teach you. What's the problem? Black bus, white bus. They both get you from point A to point B. What's the problem? As long as they're equal. So here's an example. This is in Virginia. This is where the black beach goers go. That's water, that's sand. What's the problem? The white beach goers go over here where it's water and sand. What's the problem? Said the people who supported the idea of segregation. As long as they're equal, they do not violate the Constitution. So in southern states, Wisconsin, by the way, was one of those states that did not have any segregation. Each state kind of dictated their own rules. In southern states, schools were required by law. Each state passed their own law saying you will segregate. In many schools around the country, the state just kind of left it up to the school. You decide if you want to segregate. And then there were some states that said you will not segregate. Wisconsin was one of those schools. Okay, so hold your head up high, baby. Okay, last slide. What happened as a result of the Supreme Court ruling, go ahead and segregate? And this is a time period when the KKK, not a pleasant picture, okay? When the KKK sort of ran rampant in the South because there was no authority to stop the KKK. If you're a black family and you wake up and there's a cross being burned in your yard, you go to the cops, don't you? The cops are the ones that put the cross in your yard. Only they had a different uniform on when they did that. Right? You go to the cop station, you're a black family saying, I think someone put a cross in my yard and burned it. This is what the cop did. Just a second. Sorry, what? Never mind. Right? Who do you go to if you are a black family in the South? That's what a lot did. This was called the Black Migration. Massive numbers of blacks left the South. It's like, screw this. Right? These are called lynchings. People were executed without trial for doing things. I'm sure you've heard of Emmett Till. Yes? Who has not heard of Emmett Till? Oh. Emmett Till was from Chicago. Black kid. I think he was 13. Something like that. Teenager. Black kid from Chicago. Visited his cousins in Alabama. Mistake number one. Went into a store. A white woman was working there and did this. You know, the "you're hot" whistle? At least according to her. According to other people, it never happened. And by the way, she has since said, yeah, he never whistled at me. I made it up. Anyway, went home to her wonderful husband, told him about the black kid who whistled at her. He got together some friends, went to his uncle's house, right? He's visiting his cousin, so that's his uncle. Went to the uncle's house, barged in, grabbed him, beat the hell out of him, and then threw him in a river and he died. His mother Emmett Till's mother wanted an open casket, and it was awful, right? I could have showed you that picture. I'm not going to, but if you're curious, it's available. Emmett Till's funeral, open casket. And she insisted on it being an open casket so that everyone could see what they did to her boy, right? No convictions. No one faced any sort of justice for that. Who are you going to go to? There is no FBI to go to in the South for the stuff. Yeah. Okay. So all these people executed without trial, nothing that can be done. These are called lynchings. Church bombings. I'm sure you've heard of some of the church bombings that occurred. Black churches, right? Blacks were denied the right to vote because of poll taxes. I just told you about that. Here's another thing. Can I deny you the right to vote if you can't read? Where? What amendment is that? That says you can deny the right to vote if people can't read. Which amendment is that? Did you know that really dumb people can vote? There's no intelligence test to vote. Anybody, as long as you are old enough in our country, as long as you're old enough, and if you're not a felon, you can vote. No matter how you could believe the weirdest things. You get to vote. Go ahead.
I just kind of looked up that picture and I have a question.
I'm waiting for your question.
How does his face look like that?
That's from hours spent at the bottom of a river. So the swelling and the bloating.
And getting beaten up.
Yeah, and that didn't help.
Wasn't he like dragged, like when they drove the
Yeah,
truck?
I'm not sure. You're probably right. It's awful. It's awful. And the lack of consequences. Amazing. Okay. This is a famous church bombing. I can't think of what it's called. 6th Street. Why don't I know this? 6th Street Baptist Church or something like that. Inside was the daycare center where the little kindergartners played, black little kindergarten, and some white power people bombed this church with those adorable little kids in it because, those kids are a threat. Cute little kindergartners. So they bombed it. No consequences. No, nobody faced prison for this. Because who do you go to? The cops were the ones who did it. So the situation ends up. Okay. Heavy topic. Any questions?
The people that like did this stuff, and then they go to jail like later on.
I do think that later on, when the FBI became involved, so the FBI is the federal cops, right? You can't go to the local cops. They're the ones who did it. The FBI is basically American cops, Team America, World Police, that sort of thing. Okay, so I believe when the FBI got involved, they did do some investigating. And I think this is true of both Emmett Till and the Baptist Church. They pursued and investigated. I don't know if it ever ended up in conviction, though. I don't know. I think by that time they had died or something. They were old enough. If you want to investigate it. I don't know the answer. Okay. Why don't you retrieve a computer and get on SIRS again? Okay. If you don't have one of these bad boys, you'll need it. Right, the little half sheet that I gave you yesterday, but I'll put it right here if you need it. This time, Andrew picked the right computer.
Either grab mine.
All right.
I go grab my little half sheets.
Again, if you wanted to change subjects, fine. Just do it sooner than later. Okay. I want to pick one that no one's picked. Let's see. What's a good one?
Do vaping.
Vaping? Is that one of them?
Yeah.
Do animal quality. I think they would call
Someone did that one.
I don't think it's in B.
Oh, it's not.
I think it's called electronic.
I'll do the voting age one. No one's doing that one. Should the voting age be lowered to 16? I'll do that one. No one's doing that one. It's fine. I don't, it doesn't. Okay. And what I want you to do is get on SIRS and get back to the first article that you started yesterday. We need to answer all 12 questions. Oh, I wrote it down somewhere. Here it is. Surrogate mothers. Yeah, I have all your topics right here. Thing is though, I have surrogate motherhood. What about it?
Oh, if they should get paid.
Okay. So make sure that's your question. For number one, you always answer to question number one, the question you're answering. What is your question? Like this one. Don't just say the voting age. That's not the question. The question is, should the voting age be lowered to 16? That's the answer to number one. What is your question? Okay, this is not an informative paper, it's an argumentative paper. You're making two arguments. No. She asked that too. You must have done that prior in another class.
What?
Read your papers to the class.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
No. You're simply writing the paper and submitting it. Okay. But how many of you can be honest here, I won't be offended. How many of you just love writing papers? You're good at it, you like it. Okay. You know what I would call you? Normal. Who likes writing papers? The thing is, though, I am charged with the responsibility of teaching you how. And so I'm giving you a method, not the method, a method. So that if you're ever in another class and, man, you got to write this paper, you'll know what to do because you've done it here. Joe, I really prefer you on a computer instead of your phone. God. Yes, I know. I told Joe I'm going to get a new phone cover because I'm sick of that red thing. What do they call them? The phone case. Yeah, that's it. All right. Okay.
What is the login password?
Username is SHSLMC. Password is 123456. Okay. So we all have a tab open to your article, yes? And this is what I now want you to do. I want you to open another tab and retrieve a Google Doc. Just create a blank Google Doc. So you have two tabs open. One is the article itself, and a second one is a blank Google Doc.
Thank you. Thanks.
Class goes till 1:30. Okay. Now, on the blank Google Doc, I want you to type the answers to 1 through 7. Just type 1, ... answer it. 2, ... answer it. 1 through 7. Make sure your name is on it somewhere. Although if you submit on Classroom, it automatically puts your name. But still, get in the habit of typing. Okay. Answer questions 1 through 7 on that blank Google Doc. Nice.
Do we have to write the question or just the question's answers?
Just the questions answered.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Just put 1, ... and then answer the question. How are you doing?
You just copy this.
You're done? Awesome. Sure, off that. Yeah, that's fine. So you're done. I'm great.
Answers are gone.
What time's this class at?
1:30.
Oh, geez.
5 minutes. I know. I thought I'd have more time too. Well, this is kind of a waste of time. All right. I wanted to get something accomplished. I have 5 minutes. I still want to get it accomplished. So here goes. Look at number 8. It says, quote you'll use. Okay. Let's look at this article, which is arguing. I know that this is arguing that the voting age should be lowered to 16. Just look at the first paragraph. Just the one that starts with the word the and ends with the word protest right here, right? I'll highlight it. This part right there. Number 8 here says, quote you'll use. Is there any quote in that paragraph? Let's say that there's a part that looks pretty good. Could I put that as the answer to number 8, quote you'll use? Is there a quote here? Yes.
There's no like quote per se, but you could make it a quote from the person of the article.
Very good. Okay, I've heard this so many times, and so I want to make sure you all understand. The entire article is a quote, if you quote it. When you see quotation marks, that means that that person quoted from someone. But you can quote from the writer of the article. I can quote from Lawrence. Thanks. We're not done though. You're gonna add more. Okay. All right. So what I need to do is I need to find a quote that has an argument that I like. Okay. So I got to read, and all I'm going to do is kind of read it paragraph by paragraph. Let's see. I haven't read this article before, so I don't even know. Okay. I need a quote that is presenting sort of an argument for why the lower age should be lowered to 16. All right. Young people have come forward to call for gun control in the wake of the mass shooting at their high school in Parkland, Florida. Are challenging the tiresome stereotype of American kids as indolent narcissists whose brains have been addled by smartphones. They offer an inspiring example of thoughtful, eloquent protest. Is there anything in there that is an argument for why the voting age should be lowered to 16? Do you see an argument being made? Yes.
The call for gun control in the wake of the mass shooting.
What's the argument being made? Hey, I have a question for you. Should the voting age be lowered to 16? Base your answer on that paragraph that I've highlighted.
I believe that voting age should be
Why?
16 as they offer an inspiring example of thoughtful, eloquent protest.
You're using the quote, and that's fine. What I'm asking you, though, is not up there. What I'm asking you is in here. Base your answer on that. But the answer's not there. It's here. But you can base it on that. What is this saying? Should 16-year-olds be able to vote? According to that, what do you think? Should they be able to vote? Yes. Why, Peter? But it does. It does say why. Kind of. Because kids are. Okay, yes, you're using the quote. What is it saying? Yes, you're using the quote again. What is it saying? What is the quote saying? Kids are.
Eligible to vote at 16.
Yes, but why?
Because they offer a new and inspiring view.
You're using the quote.
Yes, but like,
Don't.
That's what it.
No, don't use those words. Use different words.
Fresh eyes, fresh thoughts.
Okay, very good. Kids offer a unique perspective. There's the reason. There's the quote. Okay, so number 8, the quote you'll use. I would put that quote word for word. Number 9, what's the reason? That's what's in your head. So the quote is that they offer an inspiring example of thoughtful, eloquent protest. The reason is that kids are smart. It doesn't say if their kids are smart. Where did I get that? My brain. I got it from my brain. I looked at the quote and I interpreted the quote. Can you do that? Can you read your first article, find a sentence or two, and say, hey, this is saying something, and then interpret it? Your interpretation is the answer to number 9. The quote itself is your answer to number 8. Okay? Yes, dear.
Is this actually a thing?
Yeah.
Really? Is it an actual controversy?
Yes. The argument is that age does not make you qualified to vote. What difference does it make how old you are? I know 30-year-old morons who should never vote. But I also know my daughter's 15. She's smarter than most people I know. She should be able to vote. She's 15. That's the argument being made here. Okay. Can you find one? Try, all right? I mean, if you don't have time after school, fine, whatever. Tomorrow, this is what we're doing. Tomorrow, we're attacking a document and like pouring through it and getting through this. Can you find a quote and then interpret what's the argument being made? Answer questions 9 and 10. Okay. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.